Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is PokeTCG Gamer back with another video, and in today's video we're going to be going over my NPL Season 7 Majors Draft Analysis video. Now I know this has been long awaited. As you guys know, I was the most recent NPL Minors champion, so obviously I got to move up to Majors. I've been very hyped to get into the NPL Majors. I was very hyped when I was accepted, and it's been a long wait. It's been long awaited, but we are finally here with our team. Definitely, I took a lot of time thinking about this team for sure. I definitely want to shout out Gypsy and Matty, two other NPL coaches, who definitely helped me a lot when I was planning out my draft and such. As well as Abe, another NPL Majors coach, and definitely want to shout out Birb, who is editing this video for me. And until I get a new laptop, which should be in 2 weeks, he's gonna be helping me out. So definitely a huge shout out to him. But I think that's enough for an intro. Pretty short intro, but definitely want to get into this team. So I very much like how the team looks on paper. Obviously, it could be different once you get to the games, but I really like how the team looks and how what the different things I can do within my builds with it. The team is definitely, I think it's very versatile and can do a lot of different things. Spoilers, we are having a NPL Minors Championship rematch with Mono Week 1. That's going to be very hype. But let's just get into the Pokemon that I drafted. So we have 120 points that we could use. Spoilers, again, I used all 120, as did most of the coaches, I think. But first overall, I wanted to get a very strong Pokemon. Now, I was torn on whether I wanted to go this round 1 or round 2. I think if I waited for round 2, it might have been gone. I'm not too sure. But this Pokemon is very versatile. It's a possible Z-move Pokemon, which I will actually reveal at the end. But this first Pokemon is one I very much love, and that is Victini. So basically, Victini, it's one of those 6 Pokemon that has the base 100 stats across the board, and if you just look at its moveset, it's just very versatile. Obviously, it has things like V-Create, which is the strongest move in the game outside of Z-moves, and Explosion and Self-Destruct. But it's just a very strong move. Banded, it can run a variety of items. Things like Expert Belt, Banded, Scarf, Life Orb. If I choose to run a Z move, I can use that. It can be ran Assault Vest, Cobra Berry, any kind of berry really. It's just very versatile, and it's not walled by much in the game because of its ability to go to special or physical, and it has very good move pools for both. Like say Seismitoad, which is going to be able to wall the Fire Stab, and even like my coverage moves like say Zen Headbutt or Bolt Strike, but it gets access to things like Energy Ball and Grass Knot. So Victini is basically going to force people in prep to bring things like a Rindo Berry, or a if let's say they had a Lender's Tea and they wanted to bring a Yachi Berry because I have Glaciate, things like that. Or like if they have a bulky water type, they have to be aware of things like Bolt Strike and Thunder. So pretty much this is a very cool mon. Also has things like Scarf Final Gambit, which who knows, maybe we'll utilize that. It could run double screens. Actually, I'm not sure if it gets Reflect. Okay, it does not get Reflect. But you could run Light Screen, I guess. It gets Magic Code, gets Taunt. Obviously, we can trick items, gets U-Turn for Momentum. It's just a very solid Pokemon, and I'm very happy that I got it with my first pick. So enough with that first pick. The second Pokemon I wanted to get was something that complements it well, something that was obviously pretty speedy and offensive, and I wanted it to be an electric type. I was thinking Tapu Koko at first, but I decided not to go with that. One, because it got picked, but two, I think if it was still there, I think I still would have went with the Pokemon I did end up choosing, which is another potential Z-move Pokemon that we could use. And that Pokemon is another very versatile mon, and that is Thundurus Therian. Or not Thundurus Therian, Thundurus Incarnate. Thundurus Incarnate has two very nice abilities on Prankster and Defiant. It has a very nice speed tier in which it can outpace all the like base 110 mons like Glotties and things like that. So we can possibly use this as something that can abuse defog with the Define ability, and it's another mon that can go physical or special. It has a very nice special move pool, and it has an okay physical move pool, but when paired with Z moves, its physical move pool just becomes amazing with things like Supersonic Sky Strike with Fly, and it also gets access to things like Bulk Up, which we could even make a priority with Prankster. Gets things like Knockoff, gets a lot of setup options, like I said, Bulk Up, Nasty Plot, gets Taunt, it gets Toxic, obviously it gets Toxic, it gets Momentum moves, and U-Turn Volt Switch, obviously U-Turn cannot be stopped. And it's just a very, very solid mod in general. Like, Nasty Plot, Agility, Thunderous is just something that you cannot be underestimated. You cannot, ignore in a prep. You have to prepare for any kind of Thunderous set. And even sometimes, like, you can't prepare for every single one, but you have to. It's very straining in prep. Because I've faced it before and even used it once before. It's very, very straining for opponents to prep for. So definitely glad I got this in with my second pick, because obviously, like, it pairs decently with Victini as well, because Victini's V-Create, it's walled by things like bulky water types, which Thunderous can get past with ease. So, next up, I was looking at my team, and I really wanted a, some kind of hazard remover, right away, and, I was looking at the board, and, I also wanted to get a steel type at some point in the draft. So I'm not sure if you guys know where I'm going with this, but I ended up picking Scissor, which you guys actually know I used in the NPL Minors last season. So basically, this Scissor's obviously only weak to one type in fire, and it does give me defog, but it also gives me a steel type, and steel types are very, very useful in draft. They resist a lot of useful typings like fairy and dragon. Mainly, obviously has other resists like grass and steel and things like that, but mainly I want it for the defog. It can use momentum with U-turn, and another big reason I definitely wanted this was because of the priority bullet punch with like even like a choice band, or not even a choice band, like with this SD, it can hit very, very, very hard, and that's one reason I definitely wanted Scissor. I don't know how you guys say it, but I just say it like that. So that's pretty much it for Scissor. It's a pretty straightforward mon. It's not, I wouldn't call it one-dimensional, but it does its job well, I guess I'll say. And it's one of the Pokemon, because of its only one weakness. It utilizes its berry, or utilizes an Aqua Berry very well. And you can even, if you don't need the Aqua Berry, obviously you could run something like Leftovers or something like that. So next up, I was looking at my team again, and I was like, okay, I can't stop Volt Switch right now, and I don't have Stealth Rock, so picking up a solid ground type would be very, very beneficial for my team. So I was looking on the list, and basically I don't have an electric resist right now either, so an immunity would be very nice. So I ended up going with Powdon. Now Powdon is another pretty one-dimensional Pokemon, but it does give me a few things that I want. It gives me a Phaser with Whirlwind, it gives me a Stealth Rocker, it gives me a Volt Switch blocker, and this gives me a very, very bulky Pokemon overall. Like, if you don't have a Grass or Water type that's like offensive, or you don't have like Toxic, this thing is gonna be a pain for you to kill, because it's just it can Toxic you back, it can just keep slacking off and whirlwinding you out. It's just a very, very annoying Pokemon to deal with, just because of how bulky it is. And if you invest right, it's gonna be bulky on both sides, which is nice. So that's pretty much it for a Powdon. Like, it's a straightforward mon. It blocks Volt Switch, it sets up rocks, it can phase. Phasing is actually one of the main reasons I want it as well, not only for rocks and Volt Switch walking, but it pairs nicely with my next Pokemon, which even though I have this electric immunity, I definitely wanted something that resists electric types, and that Pokemon ended up being Roserade. So Roserade is a very nice Pokemon, has cool abilities with Natural Cure, which you could, if you get like paralyzed, you could just switch out, get rid of that, and also Technician, so like HP Fire is basically Flamethrower, HP Water is basically Surf, things like that. and it has a cool speed tier with the 90 speed tier. But it just has it's one thing I wanted this for, and was spikes and toxic spikes. Basically, the goal of my team was to pair Victini with my Mega Pick, which will be coming up later, with Spike Stack. And Roserade is one of the best spike stackers out there. It has spikes and toxic spikes. It's pretty speedy, so it's it can get up its spikes versus a good amount of things. Like I said, it's bulky. It can run Sleep Powder too, which can, like, if I can get off a Sleep Powder versus their Hazard Remover, that's gonna be very nice. And yeah, it's an electric resist with, which I definitely did want, as well as it gives me a grass type is always just useful in draft. They're immune to Leech Seed, and also this gives me a poison type that can suck up toxic spikes, which is nice. So like, if I'm very worried about toxic spikes one week and I don't want to be forced to bring Scissor, I could possibly bring Roserade, which can suck up the toxic spikes instead. So that's pretty much Roserade. As far as coverage, it's not really that versatile. Like, it has its stabs, it has things like Dazzling Gleam, Extra Sensory, and obviously the very powerful hidden powers. So that's pretty much it for Roserade. Next, at this point, I had this is the first water resist I picked up. But one thing I definitely wanted with this sort of hazard stacking team, which is the direction I was kind of going at this point, definitely wanted a ghost type. And there was one Pokemon that very much caught my eye, and I was considering picking it in the 7th round, but I was talking to a few people, and even though they're saying I could probably wait until the 7th or 8th round, I definitely wanted to snag it up now, because this thing is very important to my core of Pokemon, and that Pokemon is Jellicent. So Jellicent has two nice abilities in Water Absorb and Cursed Body. It has Damp, but that really doesn't matter because Self-Destruct and Explosion don't affect me, so it's kind of useless. But Water Absorb is nice, gives me a water immunity. With the right kind of spreads, this thing can just wall opposing water types forever. Like, say, like what's an example? Like Vaporeon. If I run enough speed for Vaporeon, just run Taunt, they're not gonna have like a move to hit me that isn't like toxic, so I can just taunt them and completely shut down opposing water types, which is very nice. Obviously it has reliable recovery, and like I said before, it is a spin blocker, which I definitely did want, and bulky water types are always appreciated in draft. It gives me a second solid fire resist alongside Victini. This gives me a more bulky fire resist. This thing also definitely utilizes things like Cobra Berry very well. It has Will-O-Wisp, so it can burn physical attackers, and it has very nice special defense with 100 HP and 105 special defense, which is very nice. But that's pretty much it for Jellicent. Another kind of straightforward Mon. You could very much like run an offensive set with it. Like, its special attack isn't that bad. Like, it has 85 special attack, but like I could totally see myself running something like Scarf Water Spout, which could definitely catch something off guard, because Water Spout is a very powerful move. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It also has Trick, so if I wanted to run like a choiced item, I could trick it onto a bulkier thing, and that could be a pretty cool tech 1 week. So next up, I was getting into the later part of the draft, and I was kind of just looking at what my team kind of is missing. And one thing I didn't really like is that fairies, I feel, are very important in draft. Obviously being immune to dragon, but fairies are usually a cleric for a team, and my team at this point did not have a cleric. I definitely wanted one. So I was looking at the board, and I didn't think this was going to be available round 7, but it ended up being available, so I snatched it up immediately, and that Pokemon was Florges. So Florges doesn't have useful abilities at all, but it's just a very bulky fairy. It has okay, or not very good HP and defense, 78 and 68, but it has amazing 154 special defense, and its special attack in 112 is nothing to laugh at. And it has very good it has a very good Calm Mind set if you wanted to run like Calm Mind, Aromatherapy, Synthesis, Moonblast. That would be a good set. It can run Screens. I think it gets Reflect. Nope, this is also, it only gets Light Screens. So but like I said before, some of the mods, these are getting pretty straightforward, but like Fortress does its job very, very well. It comes in, it's bulky, it can eat up special hits, it's immune to dragon types. Even though like for say like Salamence could run Dragon Dance and like Z Iron Tail, but like I have Protect, so I can scout for Z moves, which is very nice, and then they'll only do like 25%. But like I said, the fairy typing, the ability to be a cleric for my team has very reliable recovery with Wish, Protect, or Synthesis. So I'm very, very happy with this Fortress pick, which it complements my my current core of like my bulky things like Hippowdon and Jellicent. Like if are complemented well by Roserade and Fortress, because like special grass and electric types can be walled by Roserade or even Fortress. So next up, I wanted to get a more speedy mon. I didn't really like Thundurus being my most speedy mon. I usually like having at least a base 115 on my team, and basically if I wanted one of those like right now, my options were pretty much fast psychic types. And I was deciding between two, and those two were Azelf and Alakazam, but I ended up going with Azelf. So Azelf is a very cool Pokemon. It gives me a secondary Stealth Rocker. I'm not too sure how I feel about Azelf and Hippowdon being my only rockers, but I think they are both two very solid rockers. Azelf obviously being more fast, but it also has Taunt, so it can stop potential defogs from happening. It can be a suicide lead if I wanted to, like Stealth Rock's Taunt Explosion. It has, once again, this is my third Pokemon now that can use its attack and special attack very, very well. It can be a mixed attacker, or it can just be a special or physical one. But it has lots of good coverage, things like Energy Ball, Dazzling Gleam, Fire Blast, Flamethrower, Ice Punch, Knockoff. Obviously it stabs and psychic, it gets set up in Nasty Plot, or even Power Punch. I could even run double screens with it, which could be an option. And like I said, the Taunt and the Stealth Rocks, it gets momentum with U-Turn. Like it can run any hidden power, obviously. This is another mon, pretty straightforward. Just a very, very solid offensive mon, and it gives me that base 115 speed, which I definitely wanted. I didn't want Thundurus being your fastest mon. Just isn't really the best. I'm probably still going to be forced to run Scarfers from time to time, but I feel like this this Azelf was a very good add. Main reason I went this over Alakazam was the Stealth Rocks. So next up, I'm kind of running out of points at this point in the draft. I have 8 Pokemon. You actually only need a max, or you need a minimum of 9. But with the plan that I had in place, I was going for the 11. But at this point, I had 18 points left, and the Mega I wanted was 13 points. So I decided to look into the lower parts, and with my remaining 5 points, I found 2 Pokemon that I feel like they very much complement my team. So one of those Pokemon is Primeape. So I feel like a strong fighting type is obviously usually very, very solid in draft format. And Primeape is a pretty underrated one. It has like stats like across the board. It's 105 attack is its best stat, and also has 95 speed, which is decent. But with my hazard stacking, this also gives me my second Define user. So defog is not going to be the best bring versus my teams most of the time. It has access to U-Turn for momentum, obviously strong fighting stabs in close combat, and it can even run Scarf Final Gamut just like Victini. It has okay coverage in Earthquake, Gunk Shot, Ice Punch, Poison Jab, Rock Slide, Thunder Punch, things like that. But that's pretty much Primeape. Once again, pretty straightforward. My more versatile mons lie in things like Azelf, Victini, and Thundurus. So next up, I was looking, and I needed to get a 1-point mon, or just not get a 11th mon, just go with my Mega. But I did find a 1-point mon that I definitely did like, and that Pokemon is, it's going to fill a very niche role, and that is the Wireless. So people are like, when I draft this, like, why is a Wireless? But it's definitely very, very bulky. if you invest it right. So obviously you can run EVLite, and it has 72 HP, 70 defense, and 70 special defense. So with an EVLite and invested right, that's like nothing to laugh at. It doesn't get reliable recovery like Hydreigon, but you could run Rest Talk with it. And the main reason, or two reasons I got this, was it completes my Fairy Dragon Steel Core of Scissor, Forges, and now Zweilous. But Zweilous actually resists a lot of typing, even though it's weak, 4 times weak to Fairy. Dragons resist a lot of typing, so it resists Water, Fire, Grass, Electric, Psychic. It's immune to, obviously. Resist Dark, which is one thing I want. I want a second Dark resist. It resists Ghost, which I did not have a resist to at the time. That's one of the main reasons I got it, for the Ghost resist. Which is, I think, is definitely going to come in handy in a few games, and I definitely think I'm going to be bringing this in a few games. So now on to my last Pokemon. I saved my Mega for last. I kind of, throughout the draft, I was kind of figuring out, like, okay, who might get this, and then I kind of confirmed with them, like, okay, they're not going to get this. So I was able to save my Mega pick to the end of the draft, and it's one I'm very, very excited to use for, especially because of the cool Mega rule with it, and that Pokemon is Mega Sharpedo. So Mega Sharpedo is a very underrated Pokemon in draft format, most of the time because most draft leagues have a turn 1 Mega rule. But with my Mega Sharpedo, I can actually utilize its Speed Boost ability, which is very, very nice. So I can use the Speed Boost, and so I can run Protect. I don't have to Mega first turn. I can be able to use the Speed Boost, and this thing could be a very, very nice cleaner late game with Hazard stacking and like Victini breaking down walls and things like Thundurus also breaking down walls. Sharpedo with the Speed Boost can be a very, very nice cleaner late game. It also is another it gives me a second form of priority. This is Bullet Punch, which I guess is nice, in Aqua Jet. And it's another mon that could throw people off if it runs a special set. Obviously, like Strong Jaw Crunch is very, very strong with the 140 base attack, but as a not too shabby 110 special attack, which and it has obviously things like Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, Dark Pulse, etc. But one thing that definitely buffed up Mega Sharpedo this gen was the addition of Psychic Fangs, which obviously gets boosted by Strong Jaw. It's just a very, very strong move. Can hit things like Toxapex. It just hits a lot of things very, very hard. And even though it's not stab, it's just going to hit opponents extremely hard. And it also destroys screens, which is a cool secondary effect. So yeah, guys, that is pretty much my team. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Just to recap it again, it is Victini, Thundurus Eye, Scissor, Hippowdon, Roserade, Jellicent, Forges, Self, Primeape, Zweilous, and Mega Sharpedo. Hey guys, sorry, one more thing, I forgot to mention my Z Pokemon. Really quickly, I'm going to go over that. The Z Pokemon that I picked is Thundurus Eye. Now, I definitely debated between Thundurus Eye and Victini a lot, but Thundurus Eye, it's so good with the Z move. It can run so many different things. It can run Fighting Z with Focus Blast. It can run the Z moves with the stabs. It's very powerful, and because of things like Bulk Up and Nasty Plot, its Z move just becomes so much more threatening. And there's not really much else to say about that. I felt Victini utilizes other items better than Thundurus, and Thundurus really appreciates having the Z move as just a nuke sometimes. So that's gonna be it for this video again, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Well, guys, that is gonna be it. I will see you guys next time. When you guys see me again, I will be going over my week 1 match versus Mono, which I'm definitely very hyped to play. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.